Thank you, Marcia, for that kind introduction. And it is indeed a pleasure to be here this morning to speak at this Caribbean Tourism Organization conference on such a timely manner. And in all your conference booklets, it's clearly said that one of the greatest criticisms of the Caribbean tourism industry is the commoditization of the region's human, cultural, and natural assets to the point of exploitation. And that is very, very true, particularly as we look at the human element, to me, which is most important as a trade unionist and as a person that simply care about other people. When I look at commoditization, looking at two definitions. Eric Cohen defines it as a process by which things and activities come to be evaluated primarily in terms of their exchange value in context of trade, thereby becoming goods and services. And Riemann, 2009, defines it as the phenomenon where a product or service is imitated among various firms. It exists as the core products become homogenized and consumers become price sensitive in defining their value. And that's just looking at a definition before we go into the human part. Now, when we look at our employees, when we look at the human personnel, when we look at our human resources, we have a quote by Anne that says, "Employees are a company's greatest asset. They're your competitive advantage. You want to attract and retain the best, provide them with encouragement, stimulus, and make them feel that they're an integral part of the company's mission." And I challenge each and every one of you, as you look at that quote, is this truly what you do when you think about the people that you work with, particularly if you're in human resources? When we look at human resource developing strategies, one of the greatest things is that human resources have to do is build capacity for the organization. And we need to understand the strategic role that human resources plays, which is valuable and provides knowledge to generate success. It defines deliverables and facilitators. And HR professionals play 4 key roles as strategic partners. They understand the business from a strategic, operational, financial, and other areas such as innovators. They're searching continuously for new strategies that will create value for the organization instead of just being reactionary. And I'm sure many of us are used to that mode of operandi in our various countries, that we react to things instead of thinking outside of the box and being prepared for what is about to happen instead of reacting to it. And of course, process these strategies. To me, the most important human resource element is recruitment. When we recruit employees, this is a very, very important step. First, we have to look at the organization's culture and to understand the organization's culture, its behavior, its values, its standards. We must understand our countries that we come from, because we are all very different in the Caribbean. We must understand the political environment in which we live, that we can't run away from, because of course most of our organizations are funded by the government, and we have to also answer to the politicians. So when the politician sends you someone to hire, what do you do? That's a question that you have to ask yourselves. If that person in particular you feel does not fit into the organization, you need the best candidate for the job. And that candidate must have good communication skills. They must be able to be productive. Productivity is key. You don't just want someone sitting down at a desk playing games all day. All right? That's not what you want of an employee. They must have soft, hard, and multicultural skills. And we know that recently the IDB in the Bahamas did a study that I think Toyle Pinder did. And we find that the greatest challenges of our students coming out of the school system is that they lack soft skills. And what you may ask, what are soft skills? And soft skills are actually the ability to have a work ethic, the ability to get up in the morning to realize that you have to come to work, although you may have gone out and partied all last night. Those are soft skills, that you're committed to your job, that you're part of a team, and that you need to be there and you need to be present. We know that our young people don't have that, and many of them, I'm sure, work in your organizations where they do not have the soft skills. And actually, we have to now attempt to teach them these soft skills and to understand that work is important, and it's important that they show up. All right? Hard skills is a little bit easier because these are the skills that they come to you with. What are their education qualifications? What are they coming with? They come to you with some computer training. Are they technological savvy? These are the skills that they're coming with the hard skills. And then, of course, multicultural skills are very, very important. Because in this industry, you have to mix with so many different persons. So you have to be multicultural. And also because we live in a global village. Of course, education is important. When they come to you, you must look at the person, you must truly critique where will they fit into the organization and how will they fit in. How will they fit in with their educational background, and do we see prospect for them to be able to grow in the organization? Compensation, of course, is important, pay, and young people will be more in tune with pay than it being, that whether or not it matches their qualifications or not, they want to pay, but they may not have the requisite educational background to go with it. Of course, purpose and passion, you want people who are purpose and passion driven, who have the passion for tourism, who have the passion for the customers that they will meet. Diversity is important. When I say diversity, we're talking, when you look at millennials and you look at older persons, the difference between the two. You may need a good balance of the two within the organization. Working with various nationalities is important. Working with males and females, very different, okay? We have to also look at the fact that there is, when it comes to gender, a difference between males and females in the workplace. When it comes to pay, women and men are still not paid equally in the workplace, whether or not you realize it. Women still have not broken the glass ceiling when it comes to getting top positions in companies, and also when it comes to pay. Men are still paid better, and I'm talking worldwide, than women. And then, of course, leadership. That's important in any organization. You need persons who have leadership capabilities. And then after recruiting these persons, you also want to retain these persons. So it's no good just recruiting them. At the same time, they're your most valuable asset, so you want to retain them. And when we want to retain them, we look at globalization. We realize that tourism is globally recognized. So it's all over the world. They must be prepared to travel. They must be prepared to move. They must be prepared to work late at night, sometimes at functions. They have to be flexible. Tourism is seasonal. They must be prepared to be mobile. These are all of the things that the employees that you want to retain must be willing to do. And all of us, like I said, would come from unionized environments where certain things are expected. Our countries are signed on to various standards at the International Labor Organization that we have committed to, at the United Nations, all of those things at CEDAW, all of the international organizations that we've signed on to, that our governments have signed on to say that we will uphold persons' rights is important for all of us to remember. And it's a creation of greater opportunities for both women and men to secure decent employment and income. Enhancement of the coverage and effective of social protection, and that's talking about a good pension plan, a good medical plan. Those things are important for your employees to have. And of course, to strengthen tripartism, as our moderator spoke about. When we look at the tripartite structure, we're looking at the government, the worker, and then of course the employer. And the three of those entities should be working together through social dialogue. And then, of course, our decisions that we make need to be based on data. And I teach at the university, and that's important. Data is important to help us make decisions. So some things that we can do some surveys that look at the nature of employment, labor turnover, compensation, decision-making, organizational change, technology. Because if you want to make decisions when it comes to the organization, it should be supported by data. And in closing, this is my golden rule, is to always remember to treat all workers or employees the way that you would want to be treated. And I always say to people, there would be no need for a union if we simply treated each other the way we wanted to be treated. Thank you.